Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the part 2 of my video dealing with a parent who has dementia. The first part of this video was recorded and posted back in November when I first started my YouTube channel. So on the original video, I really didn't go into much detail of me being a caregiver for my mom. So today, I'm just going to start from beginning to end with giving you all the ins and outs of what I go through as being a caregiver for my mom, and also give you an update on her as well. So, where do I begin? Okay, let's start a little ways back. This is not my first time around being a caregiver. My first time started with my dad. And on top of him being in the beginning stages of dementia, he also had glaucoma. And let me add that this somewhat ties into the video that I just previously did in regards to men keeping up and doing their due diligence with their health. My father never had a issue with his vision, but as he got older throughout the years, he developed glaucoma, never went to the doctor, never got it corrected, therefore he lost his sight. So when I started my journey with my dad, when he was in the beginning stages of dementia, I also had to deal with him not having his sight and being considered legally blind. On top of that, when I was taking care of my dad, he was living with myself and my two children who were young at the time. My children are 6 years apart. So my daughter was 6 and my son was basically just a newborn. He was only a couple of months old. And that time, my mom had already packed and left and relocated back to where she was born and raised, which was South Carolina. So on top of me being my dad's caregiver, I was also the mom of two small children, living in the household, taking care of my dad, working on a 9 to 5, and also being very active in my daughter's life while she was in school and had different activities and programs that she was in after school, the daily mom duties. When I became the caregiver for my father, I was very much inexperienced. I do want to give a special shout out to my cousin. Her name is Mary. She is also a registered nurse. And this all took place when I was still living in New York. So, dealing with my dad and dealing with the early beginning stages of dementia, I really had no clue. This is something that I never dealt with, so I really did not know how to handle that, along with him being blind and also with all the other things that I had going on in my life. So needless to say, my cousin stepped in and she helped me out, and told me the avenues that I needed to go down in order to get services for my dad, as far as getting home attendance and things of that nature. Fast forward to in this part of the story, in the midst of everything that was going on, I ended up having somewhat of a nervous breakdown. But thank God for the relationship that I had with my church, and for the friendship that I developed with some of the youth ministers there. Shout out to Reverend Ferguson. I had a meeting with him and expressed to him, the things that I was going through and how I was feeling. And he pretty much just, walked me through it and just pointed out to me, as I've said many times on this channel, that I needed to take care of myself first, because if I did not and I suffered a nervous breakdown, or if my health was to fail, I would be of no use to my dad or my son. Also, from that conversation, I felt much better, and I went into it, with a different mindset. So, up until the time of him losing his sight, him getting the beginning stages of dementia, I was able to transition into that, a little something. Also, with that being said, my cousin led me into, being that she was in healthcare, some of the friends that she had who helped me along the way as well. So, as I said, I took care of my dad from that point up until the day that he passed. And there is also a backstory on that, which I will save for another video. So, fast forward a couple of years down the line, as I'm living my life, with my two children and doing, what moms do, I get a call from my cousin, who is in the South as well, who is telling me how bad a state my mom is in, with her dementia, and someone really needs to be down there with her. Now, I did keep in contact with my mom. I did not feel that there were any changes in her, but I'm thinking that maybe they're seeing more than what I'm seeing because they're there with her. So I eventually packed up my son and I. My daughter stayed in New York with her dad. By this time, she graduated from high school and was thinking of going to college. She did not want to move down with me, which I do understand. She really didn't want to leave her dad as well. And she stayed in New York, completed college and, still there to this day. But as for my son and I, we packed up and we moved south. So once I came down south, it was pretty much an easy transition. I was able to find a house and purchase the house, which I did within 30 days. Also, I was able to find a good, decent school, one of the best that was in the county that I was living in for my son, because this was his last year. So that worked out well. I was also able to find a very, very good job within the biggest healthcare system in South Carolina, with a pretty decent pay, pretty close to what I was making in New York. So that all worked out perfectly. So while I'm down there, doing what I needed to do for my mom, with me being there in person now, I realized that she really wasn't at the point yet to where I really needed to pack up everything and move down there at that time. I could have at least stayed in New York another year until my son finished high school. But going off of what my cousin said, I really felt that there was a need for me to go south with my mom. Now, I do have an older sibling. As I said in my video yesterday, my sister and I are 14 years apart. For some reason, I seem to be the more responsible one. So basically, everything fell on me. So I stayed in South Carolina for about a year, which was not conducive to me or my son. Let me say that being that I was born and raised in New York, the culture of South Carolina did not fall in line to what I was used to. It was very slow paced. There's a lot of things that I can say about South Carolina, but just basically it wasn't conducive to the growth and lifestyle that my son and I were used to. So when he graduated from high school there in South Carolina and he got accepted into Morehouse College, I decided to also pack and leave and move to Georgia so that I can be close to my son and close to my mom when she needs me. So as the years go by, my mom's dementia is progressing. She's getting a little bit more difficult to deal with. So at this point is when I really had to start taking the initiative and putting things in place for my mom. Now, unlike my dad, I am the only child from my mother and my dad. So I wasn't expecting much help when it came to my dad, other than, my kid's father, which was really not his responsibility, and also my daughter, because she was of age. Both of them really played a very big part, and my cousin, with the caregiving of my dad. When it came to my mom, I thought that it was going to be a little easier because now there's two. My sister has a different dad. But long story short, things did not pan out that way. I did give my sister the benefit of the doubt. I thought that eventually, as time went on, she would be of better help to me, but she ended up not being. And the situation is still the same to this day. But what I can say is, like I said, my sister and I have two different dads. On my sister's side, she does have a brother, which I consider my brother. Love him dearly. We grew up together as well. He is more help to me with my mom than my sister is, and especially because he's also in South Carolina, within a close distance to my mom. So whenever I need help with something, or my mom needs help with something, if something needs to be done around the house, I can always really depend on him. So, for those of you who are out here dealing with a parent who has dementia, and you have taken on the role as their caregiver, I will absolutely tell you is that you have to stay faithful, keep in prayer, because it really, really, really is a hard job, especially if you have children, spouse, or job, or you live in a different state. Because at some point, it's going to get to where they are unable to do anything for themselves. So, with my mom, when I first moved down there in 2018, my mom was really okay. She was at the beginning stages of dementia, but slowly, I was able to see the changes in her. So as these gradual changes was taking place, and now I'm in Georgia, I'm hearing like certain things that are going on with her. So to move the story along, one of the things that really pushed me to go into high gear with doing what I needed to do with my mom was she was forgetting to pay her bills. So at one point, she had no electricity in her house because she forgot to pay the electric bill. Another time, I don't know to this day what happened with my mother's mortgage to make her realize that she was missing payments. But I received a call from one of my cousins that she had to take my mom to the bank because she was in the midst of being put out of her home because she missed two mortgage payments, which I did not know. So thankfully at this time, she was still in the right mindset to be able to go to the bank and take the money out, and pay for those 2 months with the help of my cousin. So with that taking place, I then knew that it was time for me to kick it up in high gear and do what I needed to do as far as getting the paperwork and starting on this journey of making sure that everything is in place and being done for my mom. So one of the first things that I did was get a power of attorney. Now, I don't know if this will work for everyone and in other states, because I didn't have to do this with my dad, because basically my dad didn't have any property. Once he passed, that was just like an easy transition. But with my mom, it's a little bit different because she has property. So with that being said, I had to go and get the power of attorney with her, being that she isn't able to handle like the business aspects of things. So in order for me to handle these things for her, I would have to have the power of attorney so that I am able to pay her mortgage, pay all of her bills, for her to be able to stay in her home, with no problems whatsoever. Now the steps, as I said, that I took to get the power of attorney, and once again, I don't know if this is how it's done in other states. I'm only speaking of South Carolina. I was able to go online and pull up the forms which I needed for the power of attorney in the state of South Carolina. So I printed those out. I filled them out. Then my mom and I made an appointment with the lawyer in her town, so we can get those papers signed and notarized and taken over to the court, which was very inexpensive. And I'm thinking that's because of where I did it. And I think it took maybe about a month for me to get those documents back, and then we were good to go with that. The next form that I had to do was her healthcare proxy, because now it was getting to the point of where she wasn't able to go to the doctor's office alone because she wasn't fully understanding what it is that they were saying to her, and she couldn't keep up with certain things. So therefore, I had to get the power of attorney to be able to sit in on the appointments with her, speak for her, and request certain things. So basically, those are the two main documents that I would recommend if you are becoming the caregiver for anyone. The next things that I had to do was set up things so that she can live in her home safely, being that I was living in another state. So I had to apply. Number one, I applied for Medicaid for her. When I applied for Medicaid for her initially, she was not accepted because of her income. I guess her income was over the guidelines because her income comes from New York. That is where she retired. So she has her income from her job, which is her pension, and also her Social Security. So going forward later on down the line, as the dementia is progressing, now they no longer look at the income. It's a matter of her medical. So as she was approaching and the dementia is progressing, I set up an appointment with her primary care physician, and I discussed with her the things that I was seeing and the changes that I was seeing within my mom. So within that appointment, as she was doing her physical and speaking to my mom, she also picked up on my mom's changes. Now, what I will say is, when you go in for that initial appointment, they are going to make an appointment for a neurologist for them to take, I think, MRIs of the brain to see like any changes in the brain as far as the dementia. But with my mom is so very stubborn that my sister and I were unable to get her to go to any doctor's appointment. But luckily, the dementia was progressing in a way where it was able to be picked up during her doctor's appointment. So we really didn't need that aspect of it. So once we had that appointment and her provider wrote out her progress notes, and she submitted it, to the social worker, they then again did another evaluation on my mom based on her medical, and then she was able to be approved for the Medicaid, which was perfect. I was then able to get her Medicare, which she had linked up with a insurance, which now she has the commercial insurance link with the Medicare and also the Medicaid. It was much easier for her to now get services. So the services that I was able to get for my mom is she has a home attendant, which she is eligible now to this current date to have her for 7 days. But with my mom, she is still pretty much in a stage of where she feels that she can do things on her own. So I don't want to upset her or invade her privacy or her independence at this point because we're not fully there yet. I had it worked down to where the young lady comes in 3 days a week for maybe about an hour or two. And I do want to put out there, she did her first initial attendant that she had. She was an older lady, which I felt would be a better fit for her. But that did not work out. She pretty much did not, mesh with this particular person. But the young lady that she has now, I am so, so thankful for. Now, my mom is still at a point in her life where she is still trying to be independent. So she really doesn't let this young lady do much for her. But because of her relationship that she has with this young lady, she is more, I think the word is receptible to her. So she lets her come into the home, have conversations with her. They'll go out to eat, and I'm so grateful for this young lady because she really does go far and beyond for my mom. She does things that she does not even need to do, which is not part of her job responsibilities with her mom. She really, really is a help for me, and I do appreciate that. So now we have everything in place with that, as far as the forms and everything needed to, get everything in place for my mom so that she is comfortable. So now that we are in current date, I'm starting to see more changes within my mom. She is now at the point of where she doesn't remember too many people. Like she doesn't remember her sisters. If she do see her sisters, she don't remember that they are her sisters. She will say that they're her cousins. As far as with me, I noticed recently, if she sees a picture of me from maybe 4 or 5 years ago, she knows that it's me. But if someone was to show her a picture of me now, I guess, because I'm looking a little older, she doesn't know who I am. Also, more times than not, lately, she's been referring to me as being her mom more so than her daughter. Also, with my children, she does remember them like slightly. Like she definitely remembers my son because I don't know, for some odd reason, the older women seem to remember the men or the boys in the family more so. But she also, sometimes she forgets his name, but she does know that that's her grandson. My daughter, if she doesn't see her and she's just speaking to her on the phone, she doesn't really remember who she is. Sometimes she'll say that she is her cousin. As far as my grandbaby, sometimes she thinks that it's my baby. So we're going through little changes like that. Also, what I want to point out, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful or rude or put my sister's business out there. But for those of you who do have siblings and you have taken on the role as becoming the caregiver for a parent, do not expect to get the help that you thought that you would be getting from family members or your sibling. Recently, my mom went to stay with my sister for a couple of days. It was supposed to be for a week. I asked my sister before taking my mom, being that my mom is unable to cook for herself. She's unable to do her food shopping. She really doesn't know what it is that she likes and does not like anymore. So I take on the role and I do those things. So being that I live in Georgia and I'm getting ready to start a new job, my plan was to go down there, as I do every month, stock up the house for about a month or two, cook enough food for her to have now and also for like the next month and a half until I'm able to get back down there again, or until I set up something with the aide, to make sure that she has food and the things that she needs in the household. I asked my sister to do these things, before she took my mom with her, which she did not. So my mom and my sister have not always had the best relationship. I think because my sister is a very sensitive person and she's unable to handle my mom, like when she goes off on a tangent with the cursing or the yelling or the things of that nature. Me, I have a tough skin. I could take it. It doesn't bother me. I just let her say what she's going to say, and give her time, her peace, and her space, and then get back to her. My sister, on the other hand, is hard for her to deal with. So, needless to say, she did not end up staying the week with my sister. My sister ended up bringing her back early, which she did not tell me that she was going to do. My request to my sister was the same request that I made prior to. When you drop her off, please make sure that you leave her something that she can eat, which is already cooked, and a couple of things in the house until I am able to do her food shopping and getting things back in order for her, which she had not. So I'm telling this story to say that if you're going to take on the responsibility of doing this, please do not depend on others. Kudos to you. And I hope it does work out where you do have help from siblings, family members, children, spouse, or whoever it may be. You are blessed and you are in the best possible position that you can be in when it comes to being a caregiver. But for those of us who do not have that help, it's a lot. It really is a lot. So now the phase that I am in now is I had to go and do a living trust for my mom because I wanted to make sure that her house will be okay. Um, like I think I've said in a video or two, my intentions is once I move, I'm going to be taking my mom in with me. So the money that she is putting in to her home for her bills, which I pay all of her bills for her, we can just keep that in her account and just use those funds for whatever it is that she may need, upcoming, up until her transition. Also, I'm going to be using that money to fix up her house so that we can get some renters in. Now, I'm not exactly sure how it will affect it, being that my mom is on Medicaid, because I am told that there's a possibility that we could lose the home because Medicaid may come in and take the house as a payment for the services that she has received. But to no avail. If that's what they need to do, then I have no problems with that because the house is not mine, number one. And my mom has always said that we can use the house, if need be, to take care of her. And I am a firm believer that my mom doesn't have a life insurance. So therefore, if they need to take the house, because of the services that she is receiving, because it is a big help to me and to her, I don't mind losing the house. I am 58 years old. I've had a house once and I can have a house again. As long as I'm working and I'm able-bodied, God will bless me, if another house is what I want, I will get. I'm just trying to make sure that my mom is safe and comfortable and have a roof over her head for now. So with that being said, that is the update on my mom and the part two. of my video, which was titled Living with a Parent with Dementia. Once again, let me reiterate that it is a lot when it comes to taking care of your parent. You just have to stay strong. Uh, Remember to take care of yourself so you are able to take care of them, and also stay in prayer, because there are going to be some days where you want to give up. There are some days where you're going to want to run away and not be bothered. There are going to be some days where you just need to take a moment to yourself to woosah and cry, but God will see you through it. God does not give you anything that he does not feel that you are strong enough to handle. So with that being said, I'm going to end this video. And I guess within the next couple of months, I will give you an update. And if there's anyone out here who's watching this video and has any questions or need words of encouragement or needs any referrals for anything, if there's anything that I could possibly help you with, please leave something in my comments, and I will definitely respond back to you. I hope that you guys have a wonderful and blessed day, and I will see you in the next video, and God bless.